Hey everyone, welcome to Encounters USA. If it's aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, or dogmen you're looking for, you came to the right place. Now listen up as we listen to some of the latest encounters. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Encounters USA. I'm Matt.
And I am Barbara.
And this is Encounters USA. This is a podcast where we are a paranormal, almost organization, and we treat Bigfoot, dogman, and alien phenomena as part of the same mystery. So please remember, if you have had an encounter with Bigfoot, dogman, or aliens, and you wish to share your experience, please contact us at encountersusa1@gmail.com. All right, Barbara. Well, how are you today?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I want to talk a little bit about our last episode. So before we get into that, let's just check over our viewer mail, or it's not actually viewer mail, it's comments that we get on YouTube. And
okay.
we want to encourage people to leave us comments on YouTube, because that kind of feedback lets us know what kind of material you like to see and what kind of material you don't like to see. So, Barbara, did you happen to check out the comments on YouTube from the first podcast?
Yes, I did. There was, I think, about 3.
About 3. Not a whole lot, but
no.
I noticed there was one for you. And it said, "Great job, Barbara. You look wonderful, sweetie." And that was from Crystal, Canada. So that's pretty nice.
Yes.
Somebody else said, "It looks like a video." So that was probably one of my fans. And I think we got a thumbs up from the Sasquatch Files research team too.
Awesome.
Yep. So we're really rocking. I mean, that was our first podcast already. We've got 3 comments and they all sounded pretty good. Nobody said we stink. So that's great.
And that's good. That's good news.
Yep. Now, one thing I need to point out very quickly before anybody jumps in and says that we do stink is there were a couple things we talked about in the last podcast, our first podcast, that were not exactly correct. Now, in the first podcast, we asked the question, dogman, is it a dog or is it a man? And should we call it something else? And do you remember what we kind of decided about that?
Was it Wolfen?
Yeah, that was my thing. I'm voting for Wolfen. Thank you for remembering that I'm pulling for Wolfen, but we really didn't, based on the attributes of the dogman, we decided that maybe dogman is okay, but I'm still pulling for Wolfen. But Barbara, believe it or not, I was wrong about something.
And what was that? Well,
if you will recall, I think we both had, I'm not trying to drag you into this, but we had kind of come to the conclusion that the dogmen are really just more intimidators. I think even that was the word I used. Remember we came up with that? Well, the fact of the matter is it slipped my mind. There are 2 cases where dogmen actually have horribly murdered people.
Oh, wow.
People preyed on people, yeah. So would you like to know about them?
I sure would.
Well, there is a place called the Land Between the Lakes, and this is from, I don't remember which, I heard this on Sasquatch Chronicles.
Okay.
So this is a story about, and tell me if you've heard this family that they were like a family of 4 that went camping, and they're a camper down in the Land Between the Lakes.
And where is the Land between the lakes?
Yeah, that is a great question. It is actually, as I get it, it's between the Kentucky and the Cumberland River, and I'm sure these people are going to tear me apart for this, but they built 2 dams down there for the Tennessee Valley Project. They dammed up 2 rivers, and then they made 2 huge lakes. So the land between those 2 huge lakes, what else would you call it but the land between the lakes?
Right.
Anyway,
makes sense.
Yes, it does. And anyway, southern practicality right there. Mm-hmm. So the story is that this family went in their motorhome in 1982, and they went in their motorhome, and the father was setting up he was leveling out the motorhome, so with the leveling jacks, whatever. Okay. And the dog man came from basically nowhere and horribly mutilated him. And then his son was standing nearby and went after the son, killed him, got into the motorhome, killed the mother, and a daughter was hiding in a back room. And the mother fought literally tooth and nail, they say, to fight this thing off, but it killed her. And it finally ended up carrying the daughter off. And wow. And she was preyed upon. And so there was that was in 1982, and there was another encounter, and that was back in I think it was 2015. It was fairly recently, maybe 2010, where a camper or a hunter dragged out of a sleeping bag and dragged like 1.5 miles and preyed on. So the dog man is not always the intimidator that we hear. So
okay.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
I mean, if it's an encounter, it's an encounter. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those are fairly grisly encounters compared to most of these encounters where they just basically try to scare people off or whatever.
Yeah. That's really awful.
And before we jump into anything else, like, have you heard these stories of, because we really were talking about the dog man thing, but these things can take these things can take hits from high powered weapons, and they seem to walk away from it.
Right.
So often, I wonder about that, and as we decided, well, it is kind of just a creature, a normal creature. We're going to have to look at that at another podcast as to whether these things have, different attributes, paranormal attributes, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, anybody out there who says, well, on the first podcast, the dog men actually are sometimes responsible for murders, then I'll have to say yes, and I agree with that, and sorry about that mistake. And also, that's a nice segue into our next podcast is going to be the 411 missing people. So any thoughts on that before we get going into the David Paulides mysteries?
No.
Yeah, we're on different parts of the country. So I'm not even sure. I mean, I think you're probably more associated with the Appalachian Trail.
Yes.
So I'm of course in the Pacific Northwest. So, but we do have the whole country covered. But maybe before the podcast, we could look up some 411 mysteries that David Paulides talks about, because I have my theories about the 411 mysteries, and I'm sure you do too, and they're probably about the same.
Right.
All right, Barbara. Well, the topic of today's podcast is the Harstine Island Bigfoot mystery. So, where do you want to go? Do you want to start with me, or do you want to start with your paranormal?
Let's start with your investigation, Matt.
Okay. Well, okay. I think that people would be really interested to hear your association, but I guess we'll start with mine. So, it starts with mine. Mine is more of an earthly type investigation. Simply, I was listening on. I mentioned them before, the Sasquatch Chronicles, and it was episode 335, and they were talking about. There's a deputy on there, and he was working originally out in a place called La Push. Have you ever heard of La Push, Barbara?
I have not. I mean, previous.
Well, nobody has. Nobody has heard of La Push. And the way it got its name was one time the French got their boat stuck there.
Okay.
So they had to La Push the boat out.
La Push the boat? Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, this sheriff was on duty, and he was, if you laugh at my jokes, you only
I'm trying not to.
Only encourage me. So the sheriff is on duty and is on his way. The road to La Push goes out right to the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
And it goes past some beaches where you can walk down, you can get out of your car and walk down to the beach, or you continue on and get down to La Push, which is a Indian reservation. Mm-hmm. Where he was an officer at the time, a patrolman at the time. But he said right before he got down to the reservation part, or as he was getting onto it, one of these creatures just walked across the road in front of him. And nothing more after that. It just walked across the road, freaked him out. He stopped. I think he put a spotlight on it, and he told people about it. But that was basically the encounter.
Sorry.
So he got a job in Washington State, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'll be showing these I'll show you on Google Maps where these locations are. But he was down on the Hood Canal, and in the southern part of the Hood Canal, in a place called Lake Cushman, and another place called Harstine Island, both of which you're probably looking at now if you're watching on YouTube. But he started to have encounters with these Bigfoots, and it was only because he had heard of people having encounters. And so he decided, well, I'm going to put up game cameras. And so basically my wife and I decided, well, let's go down and check that out. So the result of that investigation, I think you saw that video, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that in depth, but so you saw the video where the policeman basically said that he was parked between two roads, which I found, and he talked about he went into the forest 75 yards, which I did, and not a good idea doing it in shorts because they have a lot of stinging nettles and stickers and tore me up pretty bad. But for the sake of research, I continued on with my mission, and I got 75 yards in. And I tell you, I didn't find anything. I found I'll show you a picture on the video, and you can see all this on YouTube. I'll leave the links in the description. But I found like a Bigfoot bed, maybe. It was a very big bare spot. And I don't know why that was bare when there was all this lush vegetation around it. And other than that, I shot a few pictures and shot some video and walked back out. And so this is where the weird part starts to happen.
Yes.
So before we got into the forest part, my wife and I had walked up the road, and I had gone in, and she's smarter than I am. So she didn't go into the woods with me. She hung around for a little bit, made sure nothing ate me, and then walked back to the car. And before we had gone, or I'd gone in actually, walking along the road, I found a buried axe, and it was a 3-foot long, probably axe with a very small head on the top. And you'll see a picture of this on YouTube. And it doesn't seem very old. It wasn't rusted or anything, but it had enough vegetation grown on it to say that it had been there for at least a season. So I picked up the axe, took a picture of it. My wife said, "Why are you picking up the axe? Who knows why that's there?" And so I said, okay, well, got a picture of the axe, did my thing. And then when I came out of the brush, of the sticks, whatever, I got on the road, and it's easier to walk in the road. It's a small country road. So there was this shrubbery just laying in the middle of the road. And for me, I mean, I hadn't heard any cars really go by while I was in the, woods or whatever. And it was like, how did that get there? And my first feeling was that somebody put that there to block my path. Like I took it personally that there was a shrubbery there. And that was my first thing, is that somebody put that there so that I'd have to walk around it and basically inconvenience me. So that's kind of how we kind of met. So
yes, that is exactly how we met.
Yeah, so I was kind of freaked out by it. So I posted on the Sasquatch Files research team Facebook thing, and I posted the axe and the shrubberies. And yes. And John Kuykendall had he looked at that, and because I was going, where did these shrubberies come from? Who?
Yeah, and everyone was joking around about it.
Yeah, and so so you told me that you are like a medium, and
yes,
so
I am a psychic physical medium, and I also can pick up energy signatures on things and kind of remote view past events. So that's exactly what happened. Is I looked at the axe on this Facebook post, and I picked up 2 Sasquatch. One was darker, and I got that it was like a male, and then one was lighter, and I got that it was a female. And I also picked up an energy signature of a man with dark hair, and I said he was thin. And that's about as I could describe, as well as I can describe him, because it's hard to describe someone that you've never met to other people. It's kind of like in your head. So, so I put that down on the Facebook post, and Matt immediately was like, "Can I call you?" And I said, "Yeah, go ahead, call me." So we got on the phone, and we discussed the fact that I had saw the 2 Bigfoot and this guy with dark hair. And he said, well, that's interesting. And so he asked me to be a part of this podcast. So from there, Matt, do you want me to discuss when you sent me the video?
Well, yeah, but before you do, I just want people to understand that that's the first time that she and I had ever met. She's telling me exactly what she told me the reason I went out and saw this thing was because this thin guy with a mustache, I saw his video. And so for some reason you knew that video, that guy was associated with me, and somehow he associated that with that axe, and without any prior knowledge or anything. So that as somebody who's very skeptical about all this stuff, I'm
very skeptical.
I'm still going, wow. But yes, you did. I mean, and I will. I'm gonna. If you're watching on YouTube, I have the Facebook posted right here or here. But this is exactly from the Facebook post, and it is there for anybody to see. But yeah, right there. And that's basically how we actually met. Was just I guess I wanted to ask you that question.
Yes. And that was about roughly a week and a half to 2 weeks ago that happened. And he sent me the actual video of this guy's account yesterday. And I immediately was like, Matt, that is the person I saw on the axe. That's the person I described on the Facebook post. So it was really cool to get that confirmation.
Yeah, and to freak me out. So
yeah, and to freak Matt out.
but originally, Barbara, though, I wanted to know about that bush. What did you get about the bush?
Well, I didn't pick anything up off the bush that was on the ground. I didn't get enough. I don't think there was enough energy signature on it for me to pick up anything.
Okay. That was just weird. So, all right, now we're going to have to get into the weirder part of this.
Yes.
And that is, Barbara, you went and looked at that video and you saw some things, right? So tell me what you saw.
Yes. So being a medium and being able to see things that other people can't see, or find things that other people don't notice right off the bat. I went through the video and I took snapshots of the Sasquatches that I saw in the video. And that's also going to be posted. So.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't get that last part. You did what of the Sasquatches you saw in the video?
I took a screenshot of the video.
Oh, okay. So that's the one that I saw.
Yeah, I took it so I went through the video, and when I saw a Sasquatch, I screenshotted it.
Okay.
So
yes, and I have that.
Yes, you have that. I sent that to you.
Okay, so and we were kind of discussing that. Now, let me just tell you my initial reactions to my experience in the woods. When I went in there, and remember, I am very highly skeptical of all this stuff.
Right. So
when I went into the woods, to me, it's just the woods. It's, I've grew up in them. I know them in and out. And, when I hear of people having encounters, I know what is normal, and I know how unbelievably bizarre that would be to have an encounter where it's not normal anymore, but for me, it was just the woods, and
right.
there was nothing out of place.
Yeah.
Now, when I got out onto the road and saw that shrubbery,
yes,
and I'm getting that from Monty Python, if there's any Monty Python fans out there. When I got out into the road, it was like, who did that? Because nobody could have moved. Nobody could have done that. Nobody could have gone from the forest, grabbed that stuff, and from the woods, I would have seen them. I could see everything. I could hear everything. It was very quiet. And so that was my initial thing was, is there something moving around in those woods that I can't see? And so then we would open up that ball of wax of, what kind of creatures are these? Now, again, when I went back and talked to my wife, I asked her, first of all, I said, who put those, was the shrubbery, was that there when you came back? She said it wasn't there.
Right.
I said, was the axe there when you came back? And she said the axe was there. Well, when I came back, and if you look at the video, that axe is bright orange in parts, and it was laying on the side of the road nearby that, and you should have been able to see it on the video, right? But it's not there. And when I was walking back, I was kind of still angry about that shrubbery, so I wasn't looking for the axe, so I didn't see it. So then things just started to get weird. So, maybe the axe was laying there and I just didn't see it. So that would be the rational explanation. But I just want to, I guess, reiterate by just saying I felt fine in the forest, but when I came out, it was like, is there something in there that I'm not seeing,
Right.
And now what you're saying, it kind of is backing that up. So I don't want to get people freaked out.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the photo that you're going to post for these people that are watching, for our viewers, he's actually the guy who had the encounter is actually pointing in the direction of what I'm seeing, and what we're about to post. So I don't think he knows it's there either. And that goes along with the cloaking theory, that they can blend into their environment and, cloak themselves to where the normal eye can't see. And also that they are in a higher, they're able to vibrate in a higher dimension. And that's why I think they can cloak.
Okay, I get all that, and that's something that I'm willing to accept. The only thing is, and now I'm just going to have this picture on the screen. So what I'm looking at here when I look at the picture is basically there are two trees and there's something in between the trees, right? And then there's kind of a face in the top of the tree. Now, when I, if you watch my video, you will find out.
I see it differently. See, I see it plain as day. Like I can see it as it is. So for me, it's different.
Okay. Yeah. And that's something that I can kind of see it. And as I said, to me, it's like a Rorschach test. It's like you're looking for patterns and something, but I see the patterns. I can kind of see a face, but the first thing is that thing would be at least 20 feet tall. I mean, at least as far as what I'm seeing in that picture, that face is the face pretty high up. I mean, it looks like it's a very large.
I don't know. If you look in the original photo, you would have to kind of do the math on the depth and, from where he's standing and to where that is and go from there and maybe go back to the site and see where the head is in comparison to, the tree, that type of thing.
Yeah. And I did that as well as I could. I think he's 6 foot and that thing it's pretty far away and it's up there. So but I see the face and all that, but again, it's, it is or it isn't. So,
right. It is what you want to make of it.
Yeah. And I was, until you started talking about things, I was just skeptical about the whole thing. But then when you started saying things about the axe, so is there anything else about the Bigfoots associated with that axe? Anything else? I mean, well, specifically, this is what I want to know. Where are they? Why are they not there now? Or because...
Well, I think that goes back to my theory about portals, but that's just another discussion.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I think that's why they're able to appear places at will. And, maybe they're, also the frequency, if they're vibing at a higher frequency. If you've ever seen the movie The Celestine Prophecy, you can vibrate so high that, you won't appear to other people. So, I mean, there's different ways to look at things.
Okay, well, see, because I just, according to the officer, these things are there from October until April. Mm-hmm. And my question is, where do they go and how do they get there?
Well, it seems like they don't like the warmer temperatures. So they're there from October until it's just about summer, like spring, summer area.
Okay. So you think that they are just using a portal. And if you don't know anything about portals, we talked about that in the first podcast extensively. But one thing I didn't ask you about a portal is that are they can these be summoned at will, or do they show up at a certain time, like a taxi or a train?
I don't know how it works, and I think that's all why we do what we do, why we investigate, why we go out and try to do the research that we do to figure out how they're doing what they're doing and why. So
okay,
and everybody's interpretation, it will be different.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be talking about portals in our Missing 411 podcast next week. So we're going to look into that. So then I'm willing to accept, everybody's account. And when I went there, I just came away thinking that I'm not really sure, but you've kind of really opened this up to a completely different level and something that I hadn't, expected. Like you're almost on I don't want to say paranormal level, but a psychic level. That is something I didn't expect out of this whole thing. So,
Yeah.
So do you have any,
and that's the whole reason I joined the group, SFRT, was because me and I have 3 other friends that are psychic mediums, and we all joined at the same time because of our interest in, the cryptid, mostly Bigfoot, and their psychic connection. We believe they have a psychic connection like we do. So it'll be interesting.
Okay. Yeah. And just to remind people, you also have a sibling that is similar to you.
Yes. My sister is Elizabeth Angel. She is, she was on the History Channel, Counting Cars, and she's a paranormal investigator with, along with me, with Haunted New England.
And my question is, there's 3 psychics like you on Sasquatch Files?
Yes, there might even be more.
Wow.
I'm not too sure who else is, but me and 3 others that joined together, we all are. Yes.
Wow. Well, I got lucky. I got the good one. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, all right. Well, that's amazing. So I guess I'm going to have you look at my Bigfoot investigation on Rattlesnake Lake, but that was so hokey. I don't even want to bother you with it. All right. Well, so Barbara, your interest in in Bigfoot and Sasquatch, whatever. You want to really? I mean, we have a couple of minutes, so you want to talk a little bit about how you got interested into all this stuff?
Well, into the Bigfoot aspect is more of the psychic and telepathic connection. So I believe that Bigfoot has a psychic connection, and that's how he's able to know when people have guns or know when they're in the vicinity without actually seeing them first. I also think that they are telepathic, and when I watched that video of the Harstine Island, he actually kind of confirmed with what I was, the whole reason I joined. And he said that he thought that he had been telepathically compromised somehow, that the Bigfoot had put thoughts into his head. And so that was very interesting to me.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I don't know if it was in that video, but when you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles, and it's episode 335, he talks, he has a lot more time to talk about this stuff. And he talks about an encounter at Lake Cushman, and the Olympic Bigfoot Project. They basically began because the founder of it, and I apologize for not remembering your name, but he was he climbed up above Lake Cushman, which is right off the Hood Canal. Right. And then it goes up into the Olympic Mountains. And so he climbed up, and they'd basically been run off by these creatures. And after that, this officer had somebody was living in a cabin there, and they were having interactions with these people or with these Bigfoots. And so he started putting up trail cams and whatever. And it was the same thing of, we know your trail cam is there. We're going to break it. You're never going to get a picture of us. And that was why his encounter is so interesting out on Harstine Island, which is like probably about 40 to 50 miles away. Right. Is that those Bigfoots, he was actually checking his camera, and they were like waiting for him. Yeah. So here's some things that, I'd like to talk to you about at least is, he said that first of all, they followed him home, or they were at his house. Do you think they can do that?
Yes, I definitely do.
And is it because they're intelligent, or is it because they're psychic?
I think both. I feel that they're highly intelligent and psychic, and they're I believe they're telepathic as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I've covered everything with Officer Germeau. So he
I'd
has
really like to meet him and talk to him.
Yeah. Okay. So, and that's a great segue right there, because we are going to hunt him down, and we're going to get him on the podcast.
Okay.
I think he's still down in Shelton, so it shouldn't be too hard. But I've posted our links for our videos on that video, so hopefully he'll see it and we'll get his attention. So otherwise, I'll actually have to probably try to look for him on Facebook or one of those things. So, all right. So yeah, we do need to get him on here, because I need to find out, first of all, was I in the right place when I was there? And as you can see, also, if for people watching this, there was 9 years between the sighting and the time I went out there.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yep. So there was 9 years between. So you're picking up on things that happened a long, long time ago in a land far away, galaxy far away.
Sorry.
All right. And speaking of galaxy far away, why is Bigfoot in the Star Wars movies? That's another topic for us another time. All right, so here's another thing. I think I've exhausted the Officer Germeau thing. We will get him on the show, but here's something else I want to throw at you.
Okay.
A guy was in the Olympic Mountains, and I grew up in the Olympic Mountains, and my friends, family, whatever, loggers, woods people, I've been out hiking, camping, Boy Scouts, whatever. Never in my life have I ever heard of a Bigfoot on the Olympic Mountains. Never. Mm-hmm. So I'm highly skeptical. I mean, my friends are natives. They don't really I've never really asked them about it because I don't want to get laughed at, but
you should ask them.
Yeah, I am, because I'm going to say, okay, well, if you know stories, then I'm gonna put them in a book. But I never heard of anything on the in Olympic Mountains. And then when they come out with this and say with these claims, then for me, like I said at the beginning, it's just the woods,
Right.
So here's the last thing I want to tell you. A guy, and this is going back to the Olympic Project, a guy on the Olympic Project said he was there doing his tree knocking.
Okay.
And a specific pattern. And he didn't get anything, so he drove home to Oregon. And I guess he opened this or closed a conference with this. And so he drove it to his home in Oregon, 4 hours away, and got out of his car and got the answer. So, do you have any comment about that? He's in the Olympic Mountains, and then he drives home to Oregon, 4 hours away. He gets no answer in the Olympics, but he gets it as soon as he gets out of his car. If that's true, that's pretty freaky. You think that's possible?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And I also feel like, even though we were discussing this earlier, my friends and I, about people going into the forest that go hiking there all the time and they know it like the back of their hand type of thing. But you also have to take into effect that these creatures live there. This is their home. So even though you go there periodically hiking, they know that inside and out. And so they're going to see you before you ever see them. So it's kind of like, and this is the analogy that my friend put out there. She said, I know my house inside and out. I can turn the lights off and it can be completely dark, and I can walk through my house and not bump into anything because I know where everything is. But if a stranger was to come into my house with the lights off, unless they had a flashlight, they'd be bumping into things and making noise.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, having been, I was in the 82nd Airborne, so I spent most of my enlistment out in some jungle or woods somewhere.
Right.
People don't really understand, especially these investigators, that you have a smell. And, we had to be very careful of the things we ate. We couldn't smoke.
Yes.
Chewing tobacco, they really frowned on that. because you can smell that when you're in the woods and you've been there and you stink and everybody stinks around you. You can smell things. So with a Bigfoot that has, obviously they have a bigger brain. They're probably smarter than us, so more abilities, more sensual abilities, probably. But any animal that lives out there is going to smell you. Just about the same time they're going to hear you. And yeah, you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm. And if they have a psychic connection, they'll be able to see you before you see them.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's another thing. If you got the psychic connection, then that's just it's just dirty pool is what it is. It's just not fair.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's why this investigation that we're about to go on is going to be interesting, because we're going to take a psychic approach to it. So it'll be fun.
Now, that's not your festival you're going to, is it?
Yeah, it's actually in Folk, Arkansas. It's Boggy Creek. I'm very excited. Boggy Creek's famous. So, yeah.
No, what's this investigation you're talking about?
I'm going on with SFRT, which is the Bigfoot group, and we're going to Boggy Creek to do an investigation in June.
Okay, so what are you investigating?
We're investigating the Bigfoot of Boggy Creek.
Is the Bigfoot of Boggy Creek, he's been famous since the 70s. Is he still there? Has he moved out to Hollywood?
I'm guessing he's still there. We're going to find out.
Are you going to find out?
I hope so.
Okay, so is that your mission then, just to go and psychically try to find the Boggy Creek monster?
No, well, we're going to see if we can, because our little group of friends, we it's going to sound weird, but we actually can talk. We know each other's thoughts before we're thinking them, which is it's like telepathy, So, so we're going to go in there with that type of, where we're thinking certain things, that we're here, that we respect you, we respect your land. We're only here for the greater good, not to hurt you or harm you in any way. And just go in there, with a psychic approach instead of, an investigating or a hunting approach. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So are you going out into the field? Or are you going into the woods to do this?
We're actually camping, and we'll be in the actual swamp. So we'll be knee deep in swamp.
That is great. That's great. You ever hear that Charlie Daniels song? That Legend of Woolly Swamp?
No, I don't think I have.
You got to play that. You got to play that.
I definitely will. I know Charlie Daniels, but that's just one I haven't heard. I don't think. I might once I hear it. I might know which one you're talking about. But off the bat, I know. I'm
sure it'll come back, and then maybe the Bigfoot will come dancing out of the swamp.
Yeah,
so
who knows?
Is that what you're looking for? Is the Boggy Creek monster? That's a Bigfoot. Can you describe this thing?
Can I describe it? No, because I've never seen it. So
isn't it? But what's in that movie? I think I've seen the movie. I think I just don't remember it.
Yeah, I have. Well, because we joined the group at the same time, I've always been interested in Bigfoot, but I've never investigated Bigfoot. So my experience is not as vast as yours. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I think you're trying to pull rank on me. I think one of these times you're going to say, I actually joined.
No, you're smarter. You have a lot more under your belt than I do as far as Bigfoot.
Nope. You're going to say, I joined actually a couple of minutes before you did. So I actually outrank you. So. Okay. No, well, if you can psychically track down the Boggy Creek monster, then obviously you're a better man or woman or person than me, Gunga Din. So, but from the stories, the Boggy Creek monster, is it a dog man? I thought it was a dog man.
I'm not too. From what I understand, it's Bigfoot.
Okay. Because I get I'm gonna have to watch that movie now. Legend of
Okay.
Bond.
I've never seen the movie, so I'll probably have to watch it too.
Well, you're like a juror, You're going in there impartial. You don't know anything about it, like in the O.J. Simpson trial or something. So all right, well, tell me what your plan of attack is. Are you gonna be out in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be out at night, or you're gonna be out during the day?
Well, it's going to be comprised of 2 teams. There's a lot of people going, so there's going to be 2 teams, and we're going to have ATVs. And from what I understand, we're going to be camping. So it's going to be a genuine,
I'm getting flashbacks of Jurassic Park here.
Flashbacks of Jurassic Park.
Going to be one of those scenes where they're all
no electric fence.
ATV in one way, look, there he is, and then they're ATV another way, and people running and screaming.
Right.
So, anyway, well, you can only hope. But okay, so you're going to go to a certain spot then.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's 2 properties, 150 acres that we're investigating.
Oh, but you're not going to stay in one spot. You're going to move around.
2 teams, so we're gonna tag team the location. So it's gonna be 2 teams investigating the 150 acres.
Okay, wow. And has there been any recent activity there? Is this why we're going down there?
Not that I'm aware of. I just know that the person that's taking us does this annually, I think. So.
Okay, and all these people come back?
I think different people go each time.
Okay, and they all come back.
What do you mean?
Like they don't end up on David Polite's 411.
I know my husband. He's so funny. He's like, "You're gonna pin your location on Google Maps," and I'm like, "All right." He's like, "Just so I can find the body if I need to." Oh my God, horrible.
No, if your husband loves you, he'll get you that. David Politis talks about a transponder that they have on
like a tracking device, like a leg
the fishing boats. Yep, that's the perfect anniversary gift for the man who cares.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we've put him up to that now, so he's going to have to shell out $300, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So that's in June, right?
Yes. Yeah. The actual festival is June 15th.
Okay. Well, then we've got a busy summer ahead because I'm still trying to get down to East Ranch.
Oh, I would love to go there.
I've contacted him on my second email, and I even sent him our thumbnail. I mean, if that was not going to... But I think the problem with that is in the summer, they just get so many people, and it's all volunteers. I think it just takes them a while to respond.
Right.
But, anyway, otherwise I'm just going to have to go crash the gate. So never like doing that. It takes a while for the cops to get there, so I'd have at least enough time to get
a 30-second.
Yeah. Well, it takes it'd take them at least probably an hour or so to get out there, so I could at least chase James around and get him on my camera, and then make like I was doing the video. So one of those things. You got to be creative, when you're small scale. So.
Yes.
Well, that's really sounds like a lot of fun. I'm kind of jealous. I didn't know all of that was involved. What do you expect? What do you expect to find? What would be a successful mission for you?
Even prints would be exciting.
Yeah.
Any type of evidence is exciting. So, yeah, but I think footprints would be good. A sighting would be better, but who knows?
Yeah. What are you using your psychic ability for? I mean, are you trying to communicate with them, or are you trying to like track them using your psychic ability?
No, communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we can use our ability to sense if they're around us, that type of thing.
Okay.
We'll know.
So are you
we'll
gonna
know.
are you gonna
Their energy will put out enough to where we'll know if they're around us.
do you think they'll understand if you communicate ollie ollie income free?
Yeah, no, I actually, if they're telepathic and we can talk to them that way, then yeah, I think that it would be an advantage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't keep doing this, but if there is somebody there that you don't really like, you can advertise free food telepathically, something like that. So
No. We don't
okay.
do that. There's no bait involved.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, you haven't gone there yet. You don't know. So okay.
Yeah, if I kind of like push someone in front of me, so I'm not the bait.
Well, you know the story of the bear, right? Where you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun you.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. That's about the guy and his wife in the woods. All right. Well, you'll have to look that up. I have to Google that. Okay. So you are off to your thing. I'm trying to do my thing in June. And
yes, I would love to do what you're doing though. That's very interesting.
What I'm hopefully doing, and if not, then I'm going to go out I'm just going to go out to Glacier, and on the way, look at some Bigfoot sites, and just get them on our video logs so people can know where these things have happened. And then also because we're going to be really looking, comparing or bringing in the 411 aspect of all this. We're going to look at going to go check out some places, out there, especially in Glacier, where people have disappeared, bears. So anyway, it's going to be a really fun summer. And if you're listening to this podcast, we have, I want to give you our schedule, if I can find it. Coming up, we have, and I cannot find our schedule. Oh, I can't find it. Well, coming up, we have a show. There it is. We have the Missing 411 is next week. And then next week, we're doing a podcast called Location, which we're going to talk about where different hotspots for different aliens, Bigfoot, and dogmen are seen. And after that, we're going to be, it's going to be pretty much anything, because what we're going to be showing what we find and what we bring back. So it's going to be pretty interesting stuff. What we're going to be in the
I'm going to be journaling during the investigation too. So
yeah, great. That's awesome. I'm going to have to figure out a way to post that. So yeah, and that reminds me, we have a Facebook page, and I don't think you even know we have a Facebook page, but we do. So we'll go to Encounters USA. It's actually Encounters USA at EncountersUSA.com. I just did that. So that's where we are, and we're going to start putting our stuff on there. So
okay.
Well, Barbara, I think we've done about an hour here anymore, and I have to talk to the union. So let's see. So we've got next week, we've got our 411 David Paulides thing. And I just want to remind you guys that if you have an encounter and you want to share it, please contact us at EncountersUSA1 at gmail.com. And you can, if you're lucky, Barbara will answer and I won't. So,
yes. And please hit like and subscribe.
Yes, and leave comments in our thing. So,
let us know.
Barbara, any parting words of wisdom over there?
I just want to thank all the viewers for watching, and it's been fun.
All right. Well, I can't say it any better than that, except for, do you remember what our closing thing is yet?
No.
Well, all right. Well, I do see every time. You're going to have to learn it. It is, if you're out in the woods, remember, watch your back. Thanks for listening to tonight's show. Please remember, if you've had an encounter, we want to hear about it. go ahead and email us at encountersusa1@gmail.com or contact us at encountersusa.com, our website, and go to the contact form. All right, everybody. Until next time, be careful out there. And if you're out in the woods, watch your back.